and welcome to the GP TV Bayside edition for March 2018. My name's Gary Pearce.
Yes, it is Gary. My name's Jeremy Rosens.
Indeed.
Just when I heard your intro, I had needed a double take then, because you said GP, which stands for Gary Pearce.
Yeah.
It also stands for something else reasonably significant happening in the Bayside area this week, Gary.
I tell you what, if you look up GP...
It's not a general practitioner either, Gary.
It's not a doctor, it's not me, it's the...
Grand Prix.
And this is the Grand Prix TV edition.
Now that I think of it,
yeah.
Your initials GP, combined with the car race that's happening, you are a bit of a Grand Prix, aren't you, Gary?
Very much so, and pride myself.
Like what I did there? Did you see what I did there?
That was very clever, Jeremy Rosens.
And I just thought of it there and then. As you know, nothing is scripted on this crazy show.
And thankfully, I don't take enough notice of you to be offended by that or anything else you say. Having said that, Jeremy Rosens, it's March, the market's in momentum.
It is, Gary.
I haven't been on the show for a long time. It's good to be back, and tell us what's going on out there.
Gary, it's all happening. I mean, St Kilda is a buzz. The office is a buzz.
St Kilda this time of year.
It's good. It's good. We've just had the festival. We're now looking to the Grand Prix.
I mean, if you just landed in Melbourne, Australia, and if you're in St Kilda, Australia, and you got here in mid-January, would you want to be anywhere else on the planet?
You wouldn't, Gary. You wouldn't.
Excuse me, a bit sniffly.
You
wouldn't indeed.
What's wrong, Gary? You've got the sniffles a little bit.
A little bit of a sniffle going on there.
Lucky you've got that.
All that running around.
That A4, A3 size hanky that you shove in your pocket.
I don't have a hanky anymore. I went to tissues this year. Jim, can we talk about what's been sold?
Can we please talk about what's been sold?
Viewers may want to know what's happening, and we're going to talk about where we are.
We've got so many papers here, Gary.
Tell us about what we've sold.
We'll talk a little bit about where we are in a moment, but let's talk about what happened in Elwood, Gary, because it's a timely kind of reminder of where we are. But 13 at 2 Selwyn Avenue in Elwood. Gone. Finished. Great one bedroom, sold by the fabulous Michael Jonas, who has had the most sensational run over the last few days. He's doing really well. Anyway, we sold that above our range, which is exciting.
What did it sell for?
So I can't tell you, Gary. That's
what was our range? Oh, don't you hate this undisclosed nonsense? What was our range?
It was 380 to 415. So you can make your own assessment as to where that went,
somewhere over that range.
One result that we can talk about, Gary, is one that is directly opposite our office on top of the mucky Japanese restaurant at 6 at 14 Inkerman Street in St Kilda.
Mucky, no?
Well,
mucky.
Well, you know.
Mucky sounds like a condemned restaurant, and this isn't anything but that. It's a high class, real great quality restaurant. This one.
Obviously, you've never been there, Gary. Given its high class, you wouldn't have made it in the door there, Gary.
I love it.
Anyway, let's stop bashing you across the head. That's a lovely one bedroom there, and we sold that too, Gary. We can talk about that result because we sold it for $387,000, Gary.
So the picture is, viewers, between $350 and $450 gets you a pretty good, actually very good one bedder in and around the area. But you still can buy a few for less than that too. What else we got?
You can, Gary. 12 Murchison Street was a beautiful period home that we took to the market. And again, sadly, all I can tell you is that we quoted between 165 and 1.8.
Okay.
And we sold it somewhere kind of over there.
Okay, fair enough. That helped. A pretty good idea.
But we had some competitive bidding there, which was
range
exciting.
Thereabouts is good.
3 at 1 Marne Street, I did the auction there for Joel Sir. We had a little bit of fun down there. The coffee van was there. We were handing out lollipops and all sorts of stuff. That we sold, Gary, for $510,000 under intense competition. 2 beds, 1 bath, refurb block in one of St Kilda East's finest streets.
Hey, Jez, that block, I used to rent that block out years ago for a
very
delightful man. And then someone bought it and they subdivided them all.
They did.
They made beautiful homes for people.
They did indeed. Okay, so once Marne Street sold, Gary, I drove down the highway to, of all places, Hyatt, which is a lovely Bayside suburb.
Love it in Hyatt. Love it.
Exceptional style. In the heart of it all was the headline act there at View Street. It is.
That is a great view.
Good looking home.
Have a look at that. I mean, look at what's going on in Melbourne all over the place. Now, Hyatt used to be a kind of, I'd say B-grade suburb. Would not be unfair. But hang on.
Well, there go all the Hyatt viewers. They've shut off.
Hang on. No, switch back on.
Come back.
If you're still there. But no, it wasn't a great suburb. But it's become a great... How about Hyatt Road? Have you seen the cafes down there?
Well, Gary, this is a stone's throw, and I drove down Hyatt Road, and I had my choice of about 4 or 5 very cool-looking cafes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Just around the train line.
That's what I'm talking about.
Gary. You had a bit of a drink before today's episode, haven't you?
I did. I had a coffee with 2 sugars. So 885, is that
885 on the market at 800,000, Gary, and
some competition.
Flew. We had 9 bidders.
How many bedrooms are we talking here?
Just a lazy 2 bedrooms and a study.
And that's what you get.
But a beautiful townhouse, I've got to tell you. The vendor, a credit to him for dressing it up so beautifully. But then, when we were down in Hyatt, we jumped back in the car, came back down through the lovely salubrious suburbs of St Kilda and and Elwood. But we did end up in Middle Park, Gary, which is one of Melbourne's most blue chip suburbs. And here we had one of the most fantastic waterfront apartments.
Again, Michael Jonas, the performer that he is, has brought
I'll tell you,
this to
Gary,
the
an
market.
interesting story. We had a little bit of a mix here. We had Carnegie working with St Kilda. Because they both knew the vendor and they worked together in harmony.
Well, that's what happens.
And it was a beautiful thing.
We're not a franchise, Jeremy.
We're not.
Everyone can work with everyone and does. And that's
I mean, I'd prefer not to work with you, but sometimes I've left with no choice.
Fair enough. Well, you know, we won't talk about when you came to us cap in hand, you were humble all those years ago when no one else would take you on. But how many warnings
I only
are you
picked
on?
up the phone, Gary.
How many warnings are you on?
I'm on my second. I've come pretty close to the third. But so, I mean, I love your concept of I'm on 2 warnings. Why don't you just give him an office then?
I love your concept of not opening the mail and letting us serve anything on you, which is also good. Jeremy, that was a very competitive auction.
It was sailed past reserve, Gary.
$1,150,000.
Oh, I think we sold this for near enough to about 150 over vendor's expectation, which is a real sign that this marketplace, Gary, it's not all doom and gloom like the newspaper was
Indeed not. It's there's plenty to celebrate.
It would be remiss of us, Gary, not to talk about where we are, because we are in one of the coolest spots that Melbourne has, Gary.
What a fantastic looking building. It doesn't get much cooler and you don't get much safer buying an older style apartment in Elwood. That's about as blue chip as you can buy real estate anywhere in the world. Elwood's been identified, in fact, as possibly the best investment suburb in Australia.
Not Melbourne, not Victoria, not the state, the whole of Australia.
So tell us about this one, because I'm enjoying sitting here.
7 at 25 Dickens Street, Gary, is what I would only describe as a beautiful older style block, an oversized 1-bedroom apartment where everything is separate. It's as good as it gets. Kitchen, family, lounge, bedroom and bathroom, all separate. Sparkling, this is as good as it gets, Gary.
High ceilings, polished floors, everything you could possibly want.
Beautiful
it is tightly held. Small boutique block opposite the park, Jeremy.
Opposite the park, Gary.
I love it now. I used to duck down here all those years ago when I started my real estate career in Ackland Street. Always enjoyed Dickens Street, but heavens, Dickens hasn't improved over the years.
You know what, Gary? I think it's about time you stopped talking about what happened 48 years ago and stopped saying heavens to Dickens as well.
Let's move on to other offerings.
I think we should, Gary.
Dickens Street's this weekend. You better move if you want to buy this.
This is going to be a bumper auction, Gary, so come on down.
Who's doing the auction?
Peter Sinclair.
Who was that man?
Pedro Sinclair.
Pedro Sinclair. If you don't know who Peter Sinclair is, he's a new addition to our team. He has been in real estate a long time, and he is the most wonderful auctioneer. And
I reckon, Gary, you could take a leaf out of his book because he's got one of the tidiest haircuts going around.
Yes,
he's got a bit of salt and pepper like you, but you are like an unruly sort of overgrown forest. Where he's a trimmed, slick machine.
He's a silver fox and I'm more like a big cuddly bear.
You're like, I don't even know what you are. I cannot say on TV, Gary.
Let's move on to Evelyn Street.
Why don't you talk about Evelyn Street, Gary? Because this is your type of real estate.
You know what, Jeremy, you're right. I love older style homes like this, cottage style homes, although it looks like a sort of modest cottage style home, but then you open it up and it's become so much more than that. A very, very spacious 2-bedroom property, Jeremy, with wonderful separate living and dining areas. I like that, and I'm loving the back decking area as well. And of course, what a great location Evelyn Street is.
And being brought to the market by 2 of my favourite agents in my office, Nikki and Limor.
Now, if you want to hear some Grand Prix auction action, it's going to be happening on Saturday afternoon.
Is it true that they had to actually lower the decibel of the cars?
I heard that. Yeah, I heard it's noisy around the corners, but it's only once a year, and it's probably about this weekend when you're going to be at the auction Charnwood Road.
Yes,
great street.
Geez, you brought me back beautifully, Gary.
How's that cool?
How good's Charnwood?
How
good is Charnwood,
Gary?
It's
beautiful outdoor space. I'm loving this apartment. Take us through it.
A price point, Gary, that is hard to beat. $550 to $6. 2 spacious bedrooms, a fabulous kitchen meals area. You've got a huge courtyard garden, Gary, and a little balcony decking, outdoor entertaining area. Call it what you will. This one's going to be exciting, Gary. We're going to be auctioning that this Saturday at 2:30. And as soon as I finish that, Gary, I'm going to the Grand Prix.
Good on you.
I've just decided I'm going to go see the cars.
Go see the cars. One thing you won't be seeing then is Mr. Daniel Mickmarker, one of the agents of our office. You won't see him because he's shrunk.
He has.
Yeah, there's only half. He's only Daniel now. The Mickmarker's disappeared. He's only half a man. And I got to tell you, if you want to know about an inspiring weight loss story, how much has he lost, that guy?
I don't know.
Guess.
I'd say in the 30s, Gary.
In the 30s?
In the 30
Oh, it's like a
kilos.
range, like a property. It's
Yeah,
like
30 to 38, I think. Okay, 36.8.
Okay,
36.8.
so if we get a 10%
We had him on the
range,
scales this morning,
if we have a
Gary.
10% range, let's say 35, a 10% range either side.
Yep.
That's a lot of weight for this man, General Mickenbucker, but it's got nothing to do with him. It's all about the property that he's selling in the avenue
This
in
is
East Kilda.
This is a ripper, Gary. I don't know if you know Stellar Constructions, but they are
great.
reputed as one of Melbourne's best
Do I
apartment
know?
builders.
Do I just come down the last shower? What do you
Well,
reckon?
sometimes I
Do I
wonder
look
about
stupid to
Gary.
you?
Well,
Don't answer that question. Of
again,
course
you're
I'm
asking
Stellar.
very rhetorical questions. But
One
when
of the
you
best.
talk of courtyard gardens, Gary, this has the most amazing courtyard garden. It's almost equi-size. Is that a word we could use?
I don't understand the concept.
Equi-size. It's like equal size to the apartment.
Equi is like a horse.
No, that's equine.
Oh, right, equine size.
Yeah.
Well, you could fit a whole stable of horses in that courtyard.
You
It's so
could,
big if
Gary.
you wanted to.
This is champagne comedy at its finest.
Unbelievable.
When's the comedy festival
Wait,
coming? I reckon
I'm just
we
getting
might get
warmed
a
up for
gig,
it.
Gary. We might get a gig. Anyway, 2 fabulous bedrooms, 2
Yeah.
huge bathrooms, and a
Yeah.
family room that goes on, and it bowls out into that courtyard garden. Car space and storage on title as well. This is a really good apartment, Gary, and I'm excited about it because
So
I'm
you
going to
should
do
be.
the auction there.
Good luck to you.
On the 8th of April there.
I'll enjoy it. I'll be there.
$660,000 to $720,000.
I'm going to come and check you out and critique.
Come on, Gary. Just leave your hanky at home.
Criticise and possibly even compliment you if you do a good job.
Unlikely that you've ever complimented me.
It's unlikely,
ever.
but it's not impossible. We live in hope. Jeremy Rosen's Hotham Street is the epicentre of St Kilda East. There's so much happening around there. There's a bus, there's a tram, there's training, there's station, there's cafes, there's restaurants, there's
There is,
everything.
Gary, there's everything.
And not only is there everything, but there's also this apartment.
There
apartment
is.
16, 45 to 47 Hotham Street, St Kilda East. Take it away.
Well, we have had a love affair with this block for quite some time.
Sure
Gary.
have.
We were part of the original
Subdivision.
selling and subdividing.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful old house at the front and some new apartments out the back. And
Yeah.
Joel Sir's bringing this one to the market. That's going to be on the 8th of April, Gary, at 11:30
if not sold
a.m.
prior.
If not sold
A
prior.
few of those sold prior in that block.
Do you know, I think because buyers don't want to wait. They just want to start making offers on this place. They never want to miss it.
They don't. And
Some of the
you know,
offerings, Gary, it's very exciting what's
It
happening.
is exciting. It's that time of year. And let's talk about the months ahead. If you wanted to sell, when would you do it?
When you're ready, Gary.
Yeah, but don't give me a fluffy.
Look, I tell you,
Where would
if
you
you
sell?
think about,
If
if you
you're now
think
in
about,
March, you're looking at the calendar. What month would you pick?
well, I think that May is
Yeah.
one of those months which is unencumbered with any long weekends or anything. The end of April. April's got the back end of some long weekends, but April's looking good. May is really a month. May and June has a long weekend, but May is probably, if there was a month to sell in, that would be the month.
On this occasion, sadly, I'm compelled to agree with you. You're right. May is a fantastic month.
We've got it
There's-
on record.
There's a lot going on in May in terms of, because you do get that whole period of time.
Do you want to know
where
what's
it's free
great
of holidays,
about
school
what just
holidays,
happened?
everything. Yes. Well,
You told us this morning in a meeting that we all had that May was a month. So I just want to let you know that I'm listening because I thought
That's
you were
good.
you thought you were going to try and catch
I
me
thought I
out
was
there.
going to catch you
Having
out.
said that, Gary, I love the winter months for sale, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Nothing wrong with them either.
Because the level of buyer activity is always pretty consistent
That's
all
true.
year round. But in winter,
Agreed.
the stock levels, they drop down a little
They do.
bit.
And people don't care if it's cold and windy. They're still buying.
Of
They
course
need a
they
roof
are.
over their head. In
Of
fact,
course they
more than
are.
ever, don't they?
Correct, Gary.
We got it.
And if you put the gas heating on,
We're in
or
harmony.
electric heating,
Yeah.
or you just rug up, it's going to be
Exactly
fine.
right. Someone was saying the other day, Sally from my office, saying she loves the winter. She likes a brisk, cold winter. There you go.
Not for me.
Me
I
either.
like the
Me
beach,
neither, but
Gary.
good luck for her. Jeremy Rosen's the market. Tell us about the feeling, the vibe. What are you getting out there?
Look, it's a patchy market. I'd rather look at it in a more positive light than a lot of the
Pundits?
the commentators are saying.
Yep.
I think there's a bit of negativity which is unfounded.
I don't think it's founded either. We're still getting 70-80% clearances
Which
plenty
is,
of the time.
and I think that's what people forget.
I can get
70
better
to
than that. Good
80%
market.
is a
Yeah.
strong market.
Yeah, it sure
70,
is.
60 to 70% is what I would describe as a balanced market.
But not as many buyers around as there
Not
were
as
this time
many.
last year.
We would be, I guess, probably leaving people without the facts if we said it wasn't a
Indeed.
bit softer than what it was last year. But
Call a spade
the
a spade, Mr.
premium
Moses.
properties are still
Before I
selling
hit you
very
over the head
well.
with one.
Ho, Gary.
Indeed. You're right.
I think next week we're going to do this without you, Gary.
Is that right?
It's beginning to be a bit sort of cumbersome with you
The
here.
premium properties are selling well.
Yes.
The market's still okay. But I think it's also important that the agent you employ knows what they're talking about. Because I think you could before, when things were a little bit more bullish, you could put a few feet wrong and you sort of get away. Now I think a good negotiator, understanding the market, understanding marketing, is very important to your real estate agent.
So
More
is what
than
you're
before.
saying, Gary, that a few months ago or years ago when
Last
the
year, I
market was
reckon.
going well, any Tom, Dick or Harry could have sold a
I reckon so.
home.
Any Tom, Dick or
But
Mary.
now it's time to
Don't be
employ
sexist.
a professional who can guide you through the storm, even though it's not quite a storm.
Not quite a storm, but it's a bit hazier than it was. Look, the market's still good.
Yep.
If you think of selling, yes, you're right. May's a great month. It's a great time. We're happy to sit down and look at the calendar with you. If you're a buyer, as things are, probably not as determined in terms of competition as it was, or as bullish, I reckon this is a good opportunity.
It's a good time to be a buyer.
Like the one we're in now. Good time to be a buyer.
I will say this though, Gary, don't sit back if you're a buyer, because nobody rings a bell at the top or the bottom of the market.
Very true.
So just jump in now, because it's just waiting for someone to be in there.
Indeed it is, and that's a big wrap on the Bayside Report of GPTV, the Grand Prix TV.
The Grand Prix edition, Gary.
Grand Prix edition.
The Michael Schumacher. No, we shouldn't really talk about Michael
Schumacher.
Schumacher,
He's not so well at the moment. But
what about
who's going to win? Do you know any of the drivers, any of the people?
Yeah. I know
Who's your tip?
Daniel Ricciardo with the biggest smile in.
He's the Aussie boy.
He is Australian.
Yeah, okay. Is this the last year we get it? Do we not have it anymore after this year? Did we lose it with Ron Walker? Did he go and the Grand Prix go to Adelaide or something, or Sydney? Or
I don't know.
You don't know what's going on.
Daniel Ricciardo. There's the other guy, the fast. He got the tattoos, the good-looking black hair.
No,
Lewis Hamilton.
No idea what you're talking about, but that sounds good.
And some other guy from Sweden or something.
We look forward to
bringing Nordic fellow.
We look forward to bringing all the GPTV real estate news next month.
You know, if we're lucky, we could interview the winner of the Grand Prix.
They've been wanting to get on the show for years. Jeremy, that's a big wrap. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Jeremy Rosen. It's been great to see you. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye for now.